All right, let's talk about growing one of the most delicious summer vegetables out there, okra. Today, we're going to tackle how you can get an amazing harvest, especially in that summer heat, even if you don't have a giant backyard to work with.
So have you ever dreamed of just stepping outside and picking your own fresh okra for dinner, but then you look around and think, well, I've just got a balcony, or maybe a small patio, or even just one sunny spot? Well, you're in the right place, because that's exactly the problem we're solving today.
And I've got great news. A huge, delicious harvest is absolutely 100% within your reach. With the right know-how, that small space of yours is more than enough to get the job done.
We've broken it all down into 4 super simple stages. First, we'll lay the perfect foundation. Then, we'll get into planting for peak production. After that, mastering the daily care routine. And finally, the best part, timing that perfect harvest.
Okay, let's dive right into section 1, laying the perfect foundation. I want you to think of this part as building the perfect little home for your okra plant. Seriously, if you get this part right, everything else becomes so much easier.
So this foundation, it really comes down to 3 key things: planning out your timing, creating the absolute perfect soil mix, and then picking the best possible location for your plant to live. First up, planning. And honestly, it's so simple. Just ask yourself, when do I want to start eating fresh okra? Got a date in mind? Great. Now just count back about 3 months. That's it. That's your planting day. It puts you in total control.
Now for the soil. And listen, this part is so crucial. You need 4 things. 1. Aeration. Mix in some compost or manure so the roots have room to breathe. 2. Excellent drainage. Okra absolutely hates having wet feet. If it sits in water, the roots will rot. 3. You're aiming for soil that's always moist, but never ever a soggy mess. And 4. A little bit of acidity. This is a real pro tip, because that slight acidity helps the plant soak up all the good nutrients in the soil. A neat little trick is to just add a splash of lemon juice to your water every now and then. It helps keep that pH just right.
Okay, what about location? The magic number you need to remember is this one: 3 feet. You've got to give your okra plant about 3 feet of space from any other plants. Why? Well, if they're too close, they'll start competing for water and sunlight, and they'll basically crowd each other out and suffocate themselves.
Now this is where things can get a little confusing if you're looking online. The great light debate. Some sources might tell you to plant okra in a shady area, but here's the hard fact. Okra is a fruiting vegetable. To make all those delicious pods, it needs energy, and that energy comes from the sun. If you want a ton of okra, you absolutely have to give it a spot with full direct sun. No question.
All right, our foundation is set. Now for step 2, planting for peak production. This part's really quick, but a little bit of precision here makes a huge difference in how fast your plant takes off.
So, the key detail is planting depth. The sweet spot is right between 1 and 3 centimeters deep. Think about it. That's deep enough to give the little seedling a firm anchor in the soil, but it's shallow enough that it doesn't waste a bunch of energy just trying to break through to the sunlight. All that saved energy goes straight into growing bigger, faster.
And just like that, our seeds are planted. So now we move into phase 3, mastering daily care. And don't let that word mastering scare you off. This is really just a simple, consistent routine to keep your plant happy and churning out okra.
The first thing you've got to understand, especially if you're growing in a hot climate or in the middle of summer, is that okra is an absolute powerhouse. It grows unbelievably fast in the heat, which means it is a very, very hungry and thirsty plant. Knowing that is the whole key to taking care of it. This leads to another thing that trips people up: the watering paradox. Is it thirsty or is it drought tolerant? Well, the answer is kind of both. Here's the solution. You want to keep the soil continuously moist, but never ever soggy. And you see, this is why that well-draining soil we made earlier is so important. It lets you give the plant a good drink without worrying about drowning it. And since it's growing so fast, it's also using up all the nutrients in the soil like crazy. So to keep up with that huge appetite and get the biggest harvest you can, you've got to feed it. A good quality fertilizer, used regularly, is your best friend here.
And now, the moment we have all been working for. Section 4, timing the perfect harvest. All that prep and care comes down to this, and I'm telling you, there is one golden rule you absolutely cannot break.
And here it is, the most crucial rule you must obey is to harvest your okra when it is young and tender. If you wait too long and let them get big, the pods get tough and woody and they're just not good. But here's the other cool part.
Picking them small actually sends a signal to the plant to produce more flowers, which means more pods for you. It's a total win-win.
So let's do a quick recap of your keys to success. Start with that well-drained, slightly acidic soil. Pick a spot that gets full, blazing sun. Plant your seeds just 1 to 3 centimeters deep. Keep that soil consistently moist, but never soggy. And the golden rule? Harvest those pods when they are young and tender.
If you follow these simple steps, you really can grow an incredible amount of okra right on your own balcony or patio. Which leaves us with just one final, very important question to think about. What amazing dish are you going to cook with your very first harvest?